So this summer, I decided to really lock in on my skin. And all my life, or I'd say, not all my life, probably ever since COVID, I had terrible acne. I mean, I'm talking about blisters and big pimples all over my face. My cheeks were always all red. And it just looked horrible. And I think the main issue was, well, firstly, I was in my teenage years back at the time when it all started. So, you got all those hormones and things going on. And another issue was that it was during COVID and we were wearing masks all day for up to 8 hours a day in school or whatever. And that definitely made everything worse because it was, trapping all that moisture in and stuff. And so ever since then, I've just had terrible acne. And I thought that it would just go away with time. I thought after COVID, when we took our masks off, I'd go back to returning to how I was before. But, my acne maintained for probably a good 2 or 3 years after. And I'm still having trouble with it to this day. And so this summer I decided to really lock in on my skin since I had the free time and stuff, making a bit of side money. And my first step was, going on YouTube and checking out what all these people had to say about how to have the best skin. And the issue is a lot of YouTubers are trying to sell you stuff, so I didn't get lost in the nitty-gritty of each of their advice. But I just took the main idea that they were all sharing, and I noticed that the first main thing was your diet. So you gotta avoid eating all the sugary stuff and greasy foods that would encourage your skin to produce a bunch of oils and stuff, give you a lot of acne. And so my first plan this summer was to fix up my diet and eat a lot healthier. So I was eating I'm eating a lot of sweet potatoes, a lot of rice and beans, things like pasta. I'm also making sure to eat a lot of fiber. So I eat about 60 grams of fiber a day, which is a lot. I think the recommended is about 50. So I'm eating a little bit over that. And I'm also drinking plenty of water. At the office, I get bored. So I end up taking little sips of water throughout the day. I go to the bathroom like 8 times, but it doesn't matter. It's good for your skin to drink a lot and be hydrated. And so that was the main thing I changed this summer, was just eating a lot of healthier food, a lot less sugar. I think I cut down to about, if my calculations are correct, which are kind of iffy, probably about 10 grams of sugar a day, which is much less than before. I'd say the biggest culprit is probably things like sodas and just anything you can drink. It's very easy to drink a lot of sugar. So I mainly stick to water. I still eat some candy here and there, but I try to keep it low. And then, so back to the YouTubers, another thing that they mentioned that a lot had in common was there's 2 steps to having a solid skincare routine. So the first step is cleaning. So you gotta have like some kind of facial cleanser to take off all the oils and sweats that you produce during the day. And the second step is moisturizing. And one of my biggest issues was that I was skipping out a lot on the moisturizing part. So a couple years back I bought a facial cleanser and I was using it almost daily, but the issue was I wasn't moisturizing after, so my skin would get really dry and flaky. And you could see on my nose and on my cheeks and everything, I'd have like little flakes of skin and it would look atrocious. And also my skin would look red, it would just look bad. So even though the pimples themselves kind of went away, my skin got worse actually over time. And so recently I bought a moisturizer for the summer, and that's specifically for your face. And I'm not going to tell you which brand to do because you got to do your own research, but I would advise staying away from, I'd say Asian brands in general have really good skincare routine because they're locked in with skin over there. And so once I started doing that simple routine of facial cleansing in the shower and then moisturizing as soon as I get out, it made all the difference. My skin isn't perfect now, but it's definitely a lot better than it was before. Compared to before, it's crystal clear. So, and I've only been doing this for about 2 months, so it takes time. You're not gonna see the results overnight. But yeah, that's definitely the biggest impact I had, was just cleaning and then moisturizing. I think diet also had to play into it, but I don't think it has as much of an effect as having a solid skincare routine. And you can do all these supplements, I think there's like vitamin C supplements or whatever vitamins is good for your skin, and then I think retinol or some kind of thing that you apply to your skin. You can do all that if you want, but I think that's all extra on top. If you just want to have a solid base, I think the most important thing is having that solid base of just eating healthy and then cleaning and moisturizing. That's the most essential thing you can have. You can't add on the rest of the stuff you can't like skip this part, because if you do, you're not gonna have the best results, and the results may just be inconsistent or not work at all, and they may be misleading on what's actually good for you. So I can't have a solid conclusion on which of these factors help my skin the most, since I started eating healthier and moisturizing at the same time. So it's not really like a scientific study, because when you're trying to determine a variable, you can't change two things at once and then see to determine which one is the better one, because you gotta try one at a time, right? So, but I don't really care, because honestly I want to do both anyway, and in the end it worked out. So yeah, definitely experiment with that. Experiment with eating healthy first, and then experiment with trying different types of cleaners and moisturizers. There's a lot of reviews for a bunch of them online, but just be wary for the ones trying to just make a buck off of you. And yeah, that's it for today.